Welcome once again to the African Legal Matters Show, a show where we discuss legal issues. We discuss issues that affect us on a day-to-day basis in our lives with regarding to legal, ways of dealing with matters. And we are joined by our African legal expert, Tatenda Magocha. Tatenda, can you give us a breakdown today, Tatenda, what you've prepared for us, what we are talking about today?
Okay, so today we are going to be talking about divorce, the grounds for divorce. What are the reasons you can bring about if you want to apply for a divorce? And we are also going to talk about separation. What are the differences between separation and divorce?
Based on last week's discussion, there has been some questions on the type of marriage contracts where people are asking, some people have been enlightened and they want to know, can one change their marriage contract? And what basis would you need to give for that if it can be done? And how do you go about it if it can be done?
Okay, thank you very much. And I'm so happy that we are getting a feedback. So yeah, Section 21 of the Matrimonial Property Act, it basically says that people can change their matrimonial property systems from marriage in community of property to out of community of property. But then how do they go about it? All right, so the husband and wife, they have to apply jointly to the court, and they have to mention that for the court to grant such an application now, they have to provide sound reason. For example, the fact that maybe they entered into the previous property system, marriage property system, due to ignorance, and then secondly, maybe due to income tax considerations, and also maybe because of financial risks. So those reasons, if they set them out, they can actually change their matrimonial property to another. And then the court also has to be satisfied that the creditors have been given sufficient notice. Because remember that in the previous discussion, we said that when you are in a joint estate, it means that you inherit the same creditors and everything. So you need to give notice to the creditors that, you know what, we are going to change our matrimonial property system. And then thirdly, the court will also take into account the fact that no one is going to be prejudiced because of that change. Yeah. So those are the things that
So in
we take into account. And then if at all the court grants such an order, the two parties now have to sign a notarial contract. And then after signing, it is registered at the deeds office.
All right, great. So moving on to today now, what is a divorce? Let's start there. What exactly is a divorce?
Okay, so when we talk about a divorce, we are talking about two parties, or in the event of a customary marriage, if maybe that divorce includes more than two parties formally ending their marriage. That is what we mean by a divorce.
Okay. And then, so now you can go on now to explain, what are the grounds? So I think there's two issues of grounds that people at times give for to get into a divorce, and what are the permissible grounds for to enter into a divorce.
Well, the divorce itself here in South Africa, it is governed by the Divorce Act 70 of 1979. So one of the grounds in terms of Section 4(3) of the Divorce Act, it says that there has to be an irretrievable breakdown. So the breakdown has to be real. There has to be an irretrievable breakdown of the marriage. So when we talk about the irretrievable breakdown of marriage, we can say that maybe the defendant has committed adultery. That on its own is a ground for divorce. And maybe if you have not been staying together for over a year, it can be a ground of of divorce.
So, in other words, what I'm hearing, and you can help me understand this better, is it that you can't just wake up and just say, you know what, I don't like the way this person looks anymore. I want to walk out, or I don't like the way you talk to me anymore. That's not a permissible grounds for
No,
a divorce.
no. The court has its grounds that are set up, that are in place, like I said, in terms of Section 4. There's Section 4 and there's Section 5 that are, like I said, the irretrievable adultery. And also the fact that in terms of the irretrievable breakdown of a relationship, you can also state that maybe the defendant has been declared a habitual criminal. So, and then that person is still serving um, under that sentence. So that alone is a ground in terms of if you say that the marriage is irretrievable. Then another reason would be that maybe the person or your partner is having a mental illness. So maybe he's been in that institution for over 6 months. So that fact that the defendant or my partner is mentally ill, but you have to prove that he's been there for over 6 months. Yes, he's been in that institution. And one other,
That's I wanted to say that's quite interesting in the sense that when people get married, in some of the weddings I've heard people say in sickness and in health. So it's interesting to actually know that, but someone can use it as a ground to request for divorce. That's quite interesting. And then so what's can you come again?
I said for better and for worse.
Exactly. So, what is the difference between a divorce and a separation?
Okay, so when we are talking about the separation, I just need to highlight that the effects in both cases, they are the same in terms of the fact that they include the division. They can be issues of child custody, child visitation, and also in terms of maybe financially, there is some sort of division in both instances. However, in terms of a legal separation, you are not divorced, you're not formally divorced. It is just a time where you say that I just need to breathe. I need to breathe. I can't breathe. So yeah, that's basically separation is for a stipulated time. And in some instances there are people who don't believe in divorce, maybe based on religion. So for them, they will just rather resort to a separation instead of the actual divorce. Whilst when you talk about a divorce, this is like when you formally decide to formally end the the marriage. Yeah.
Okay, no, that's great to hear. So now maybe as we wrap up the understanding of this, is there should one get divorced from one partner and they want to get married to someone else? Is there a special process that they have to go through? Or once they're divorced, they're free to go? That's firstly. And secondly, should one wants to get married to someone else before they are divorced, what should be done?
You cannot be married legally as long as that person is not divorced, because you would need to submit that there is a divorce decree. So once you have that divorce decree, then you can now formally get married. So that's the other reason, well, that can also give you the difference between a separation and a divorce. Because when you are still separated, you are not able to marry, because you are still bound to that agreement, legal. You're still legally married to your partner. But when you are divorced, now you're a free bird. You are single. You can marry. Yes. And I also wanted to add to the fact that another ground for divorce is that maybe your partner is in a coma. He has been unconscious for a period of time. So you just need two doctors to prove that this person has been in this comatose state for a long period, and there is no possibility that he can maybe be resuscitated or he can live. So that is another ground for divorce.
Is there a duration after one got married that is permissible, or that they at least have to be in this marriage for so long before they can legally divorce?
No, there is no a duration as long as you can prove those grounds. So I excuse me, I believe that maybe if you get married and then a week later the person um commits adultery, you can divorce. But now I believe that the court is quite strict in terms of these issues. They there are some instances where they don't grant a divorce decree if they can see that there is a possibility of um, that if you go for legal counseling, the marriage can be saved.
All right, that's great, and thank you so much. Anything else you want to add as we close? This has been quite informative, and thank you for making the time. And like we always say, that if you've got specific questions, maybe personal questions, you'd want to reach out and get some advice, you can send an email to Tatenda. You can send her an email on law@baobabchats.com. She's willing to assist and give advice, or maybe at least she can help you to direct you to the right people that you might need to speak to get assistance with your specific circumstances. Any last words?
Okay, I just want to advise people that divorce on its own, it's quite a cumbersome exercise, and therefore people when they decide to make such a decision, they also need to take into account children. They need to take into account so many issues, the family, the effect that it has even on themselves. It's quite an emotional period. Yeah, I think that's just what I can say. And I would also advise that maybe if they can resort to early settlement of the marriage for the sake of costs. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you so much, Tatenda. It's been great. Cheers.